Good evening and welcome to Beyond the Lines podcast. I'm your host, Nikki Watson, and I'm here with
Karen Taylor. I'm back, baby.
Hey.
It's been a while.
Yes, it's been a while, Karen, and you're back on the mic.
And yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. I feel like I'm a newbie at this. It's been a while.
Yeah, you're good. New year, new backdrops, new shenanigans, whatever. So welcome everybody. We are streaming. Yeah, Karen, new place since you
new platform.
Yeah, we're on. They're letting us stay on YouTube for right now. So
it's awesome.
Yeah. I actually tried to buy an ad and they did not let me because there was like something about election. I know, because there was something that was about election. It was something about elections that I had.
You would think they'd want the money, right?
What?
You would think they'd want the money.
And I think they do, but I think that they have like a rule about if you say something about elections, then it has to be under like campaign finance or something. So like there's like rules or something related to it. And so it actually wasn't about like election integrity per se. It was like anyway. So it seemed like almost legit. So, but anyway, we are streaming live to YouTube. And we're streaming live to X and Rumble, of course. And all of our old archives are on Rumble because, Karen, it's like been 3 years.
I know.
I think. Yeah.
Crazy.
So
crazy.
3 years. That's crazy.
3 years.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this the other day. I'm like, man, you realize it's been almost 6 years.
Yes.
6 years since 2020. Crazy. Crazy.
Yes.
Crazy. I
know. It's crazy. It's really hard to think. It's really hard to think about it. Like when I think about that, we I don't know, we jumped timelines or we jumped into a new paradigm and we just had the Great Awakening is happening. And it's everything from that period. It's just all of the things that we had gone through. And so it's like, it was like before and now after and just everything in between. So it's been a lot going on. And so everybody, thank you for joining us. Like and subscribe. If you're watching this on the replay, please like and subscribe. Thank you so much for joining us. And yeah, Karen, so I have been, talking about all kinds of different things, but tell us what is going on. What have you been up to? What do we need to know?
Craziness, living in the craziness. So let's see, since I don't even know if I, was still with Audit the Vote when I was here last. I don't remember. I ended up stepping away from Audit the Vote. Tony was fully capable of running it, but I had so much going on in my life that unfortunately something had to give. I'm currently working with Cause of America, which is the nonprofit that Mike Lindell helped start that focuses on election security and election integrity across the United States. It's a nonprofit, nonpartisan. And so I am honored and blessed that I get to work with all 50 states. It is, for me, the most fulfilling thing ever. I love it. I'm teaching now. Nikki, I'm teaching. I don't know what made me decide to do that, but at the hybrid program that my kids go to, I'm teaching entrepreneurship and financial literacy. And it has been the most fun ride. It's great. Getting to learn about some of these kids. And I'm teaching. So the first semester, which just ended, it was 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders. And then this semester, it's 6th, 7th, and 8th graders.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really excited about that. Of course, I'm still homeschooling my kids. Being a stay-at-home mom, everything in between. I work with my local committee here. So yeah, busy, but it's a lot of fun. But I missed you. And
I know.
I've been paying attention. You've been holding it down.
We're like ships passing in the night.
I know.
I'm so happy to hear that.
Nearly as much as I want to.
I know. I love that you're teaching. I love that you're contributing and being able to do that with the school and everything. Like that's awesome. I love that. I mean, you think about like how old your kids are when we started this journey, right? I mean, you think about like, well, I mean, well, your kids weren't in school when schools were shut down, and it probably would have been different with the hybrid program. But
Yeah.
you know, it's just when you think about how when this all started with the kids, and then and then even just like when we started the podcast, you know, like where our kids are. Our kids are such a marker for like where what we have going on in our lives and like what's going on and stuff. So yeah, so I'm just so happy that you are able to use your gifts in that way and be able to contribute and just, you know, be such a good mom and be able to spend time and be present with them and do all the things, you know.
All the things. I mean, you know all about that too. You do all the things too. It's crazy how, you know, you can be so productive and still at the same time feel like you're almost drowning because you're not productive enough. Totally. But then you look back and you're like, I do all the things.
Right.
But in the midst of it, I feel like I'm not doing enough. It's crazy. Being a parent is crazy. It's crazy.
Totally. I understand. Yeah. Yeah. We were just talking about that, like feeling like, you know, just like having in like constant prayer, like, what is it that you want me to be doing? Like, where do you want me to be? You know, and especially because we've processed so much, we really, just everything shifted so much. And just, we really threw ourselves into like a different realm, you know, based on conviction. And, you know, it's, I mean, we look at narratives here and different things. And if you want to look at sort of, I mean, this is some of the stuff that I was tracking and writing about and putting on my Telegram channel, but just how the manipulation, the propaganda and stuff, how you have people being activated to get involved, wink, wink, like, you know, they're in this crisis point, you know, that it's come to their door. You know, I like to do the fascism, you know, like research, like what is fascism, right? Like what, like really, because apparently it's here, it's rising, it's maybe here, it's coming, right? So anyway, when I think about our experience and just try and compare to sort of like just what that was like, just like having to go to the school board meeting, having to just, when we talk about civil disobedience, and you see this sort of like weird new way of completely doing it wrong in the name of civil disobedience. I think about really where we all came from is like in those moments of knowing that you were challenging the status quo. And we just saw that across the board. And so it was such a journey and it was such a commitment, but it was in such good faith to do that, to take those leaps and to just branch out and to do something that we just sort of never did. And so with the title of the podcast being Beyond the Lines, we talk about like beyond political lines, beyond the headlines, you know, what happens beyond holding the line, right? And so it's like that political sustainability, right? Because it's like, you know, right, we have to have sustainability. And so we have to decide how much we're going to lean in and what normalcy looks like for us and really regulate that. And so, so anyway, so I think that that's sort of some of the things that we're exploring and like where we're at with, yeah, like how do you see the new year coming along and sort of finding your, what happens beyond holding the line and like, you're still holding the line. It just looks a little different, but you like, you are, but yeah.
And I love how you say normalcy, because I think that that's so important. You know, for so many years, I remember hearing my friends, they're like, you know, when I go on a date, I don't talk about money, I don't talk about religion, and I don't talk about politics. Like we don't talk about that, which in my opinion, and I'm pretty sure I've said this before, but those are the three most important things you need to be talking about when you're dating somebody, you know, as a potential spouse. But I think that it's gotten to the point that it's an everyday thing. It doesn't matter who you are. Like either you're the type of person that you're like, I don't care about politics at all. I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to know about it. I may be, the type of person that goes to vote, maybe, but other than that, I don't care.
Yeah.
And then you get, I feel like the other half of the population that is so entrenched in politics, regardless of what side of the aisle that you're on, right? Just so entrenched in everything that it affects everything in your life. Like,
that's right.
You and I both understand everything starts with our elections, right? Regardless of what topic it is, it all starts back to our elections. But I feel like there's so many people now that either they want nothing to do with politics and they're like, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to know about it. Or you have people that are like, their opinion is so strong because either like you and I have done their research on things, right? They've gone down the rabbit holes that we've all gone down, or they've subscribed to the media so much and listened to the propaganda that is their truth, even though it might not really be the truth, right? But because we've seen that, and how many times in history, like look at all the huge conflicts that you've seen in history. They've all been entrenched in propaganda, regardless of where it came from, right? Media, schools, it's all the same thing. And now I feel like we're seeing it in our judicial branch. We're seeing it in our education system, right? I mean, how many stories have we seen of teachers that have tried to push their agenda, regardless of what side, right? Both sides are doing it, but that have put their agenda on the kids, right? Or, the media that will take clips and, they'll take, like, do you remember when Elon is a very excitable person.
Oh, right.
The whole Nazi thing.
Right.
And they went after Elon for that. But how many politicians or public figures have done that? And nobody else has had the criticism that he did for that.
Right.
And it's just seeing everything that has happened, like you said, in the last 5 years, trying to unpack it all and actually deep dive into it is very difficult because there's so many avenues that you can go. And at times I feel like we're living in the twilight zone because it's literally like almost you would never think that some of the stuff going on today would be going on.
Right.
And I feel like in some ways we've kind of pushed ourselves back like decades in some of the things going on, right? Like the intentional segregation that we're seeing now in 2026, that, how many people fought their rear ends off in the 40s and the 30s, right? To make that in the past, and the reality, what we're seeing, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I know. I agree. It's like we're taking, well, I mean, with all this stuff with Trump, people are saying that we're going back to, empire of, the block system. Come here, Lucy, come here. My dog's like whining because their ear is itchy. I know. Come here. Sorry.
Aww.
Come here. Come on down. Stay here. So I do feel like exactly what you're saying. And it's almost like I don't believe in like a grand conspiracy, but I do believe that there are different strategies of tension, plans that didn't work out, but you're still seeing the remnants of the plans that didn't work out. So they're still doing the thing, saying the thing. And, and depending upon where the money's flowing from, it's like we are seeing that breakaway, how things had been going for so long in a way. And that managerial system of sort of my hands are tied kind of a thing. So you're seeing a big head-on collision with that. So you're still seeing like the regression, the pattern, like all of the old tactics of the chaos and, again, strategies of tension and stuff, that Soros sort of plans of, creating chaos in the streets and getting people all activated and worked up. Mm-hmm. And you're also seeing a lot of it fall flat on its face with, the No Kings protests and, even they screwed up the ICE thing. I mean, that's controversial because it's so in our face. Even though Obama did it, it's very in our face, and everybody's sort of using it politically for political messaging.
Right.
This whole thing with Don Lemon, it's just like charging that church. Like, there's so many things every single day. It's like the bifurcated reality is like in our face, because the liberal and Democrat media will spin it one way, and they want to shit on Trump. And, it's the social media component and the information age is really, I think that even people that are used to doing propaganda, meaning like media companies, big money, elite structures that are in charge of all the different industries that contribute to the different forms of media messaging and propaganda, I think they're all even in over their heads in a way, because it's just taken on a real life of its own. The public, the public has been activated, in a lot of different ways.
Right.
The internet is one of those ways as well. So there's just a
lot
of.
And now you have AI, right? You add AI into the mix. So who knows what's real? Like, I remember growing up, it used to be believe none of what you hear and only half of what you see. I'm like, you can't believe any of what you see now. It's just as bad, because you don't know what's real and what's not. These, what do they call them? Deep fakes or whatever.
Yeah.
They look so real.
Yeah.
You don't know what's like, even you're like, I can't even believe my eyes anymore, because I don't know if it's real or fake.
I know. And our generation is growing up, like our teenagers are growing up in this culture of social media, and it's just a whole different. So like that generational thing, like seeing where people are generationally, like and we're also pit up against each other generationally. Like, I do think that there's that they pit us against each other, just like anything else, any other differences. But it's interesting to see how each generation is using technology, how they interpret social media messaging. They take their, it's like people know not to watch you have people that watch the news, and then you have some people that know that that the news is propaganda. So they feel like alternative media on either side, YouTube people, are nuanced or without incentive or without agenda. So the media space is still being controlled in a certain way. I mean, we all have our own discernment, but I mean, we've reached this point, this not a plateau, but we've sort of reached this point where it's been 10 years now since Trump has, we're in the Trump era still. They're still fantasizing about him being in. They still think that it was an insurrection and he went to jail. Right? They're still in this like delusional space of that which didn't happen. So I see why people check out. It's like why they're like, everybody knows it's all bullshit, sort of a thing. And so how much do we have? How much ability do we have to make a difference? And, getting involved in doing what with the capacity that we have, just being able to have discernment from that perspective. But anyway, you were talking about how it's so crazy now, like going back, how we've regressed. And so what do you see? Like, I don't know if like you want to talk about maybe the patterns between or reflecting on,
speaking of that, like reflecting on things. Okay. So I am not at all promoting this TV show. I don't watch a lot of TV. Most of it, it's just annoying at this point, because I feel like some of it's so unrealistic. But anyways, when I first got into the political realm, I still, in some ways, almost 6 years later, consider myself a political rookie, because I'm still learning the ins and outs of everything. But I started watching a show called Designated Survivor. And For me, it was just, I'm just curious, it's a political drama, whatever. And, I watched the 3 seasons. For me, it was like entertainment because I had just started getting into the realm. And so just recently, I started going back through the 3 seasons, and it is crazy to see some of the similarities between what happened in that show to literally what has happened over the last 3.5 years. And so it's crazy to see how, like, this, what I thought was this made up political drama, mimics real life so much. And so I was telling my husband this, I'm like, it's crazy to see the stuff's happening. And, like, for instance, now it wasn't Somalia, it was a different demographic, but there was a governor in that show that basically did the same thing as Tim Walz. He's like, we're going against the government. I got to take care of my people, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, the federal government has no jurisdiction over my state. At the end of it, he ended up getting arrested and going to jail. But it's so funny how things like that, mimic real life. And so that's why I think I laugh sometimes. I'm like, we are living in an alternate reality, because stuff that is going on now would have our founding fathers literally rolling in their graves. I mean, that just, and I'm sure some of the stuff going on, they had an idea of, but I'm sure some of the stuff going on, they would have never in a million years dreamt of it. And if they did, Lord help them, because I couldn't even imagine some of the stuff going on right now. I never would have thought in 2026, this is the stuff we'd be dealing with. But, we're starting to see, I feel like, that kind of culmination of everything that has happened. I love the title today, that it started out spicy. I mean, we're 22 days in, and it has been a wild ride in 2026. Like, from day one, it hasn't stopped. And, most recently we saw what James O'Keefe came out with from Davos, and the stuff that a lot of us have talked about for years with the chemtrails, that it's real and it's actually being funded mainly by BlackRock. Who knows what happened really with Trump's plane, the fact that they had to turn around, the service is rushing to Andrews, like, just for an electronic failure. I mean, maybe so, but, like, I just feel like everybody's on edge, right? Like, people are waiting for the other shoe to drop. They're waiting for something to happen. And, the fire at Davos, right? Everybody coughing, that smell. I think people are just on edge, with everything going on. And it's been one thing after another. And I think my frustration is Trump has been beating the drum so hard, I would say the last 2 months, really, on our elections, even more so, right, since Maduro was captured. But I feel like we're at that time that I'm like, let's see something. Like, Bondi, in my personal opinion, this is not anybody, my personal opinion, she has been a huge disappointment.
Same.
Because we want action. Those that actually voted for the current administration, because we were so frustrated with everything that was going on and the tanking, basically, of our country, slowly circling the drain. We were ready to see some of these people that are well known to have done some potentially treasonous acts against our country. We were ready to see them held accountable. I think for me, one of the biggest frustrations I have had, because I got so close to a few of them, is with the J6ers. There's still no retribution. We had one close to here, and unfortunately, I never met Matt Perna, but I did meet both his uncle and his aunt. And, unfortunately, he is one of the ones that didn't get to go back to his family, right? I mean, he hung himself. And there were, I think, 6 to 10 others that killed themselves too because of the pressure that they were getting from the federal government at the time. And so, I feel like there hasn't been any retribution for that. There's just, our elections are still a mess. We're still dealing with these voting machines that are completely corrupt and corruptible, and more have been coming out. I don't know, Nikki, have you seen the stuff that's been coming out from Georgia?
No, I haven't.
It's crazy. I mean, there are thousands upon thousands of ballots that are duplicates, that are fake, like all this stuff that is coming out. Stuff that's come out from Arizona, stuff that's come out from Michigan. Our elections are a mess. And that, to me, is one of our fundamental duties as an American citizen. And I will make sure to preface American citizen for a reason.
Right.
That is, that's one of our most important duties, and to be honored to be able to do that, because some countries don't get to have that democratic process.
They just canceled. I saw Starmer canceled like dozens of them in certain districts or whatever. Yeah.
And so, that's why Benjamin Franklin is so quoted saying, "A republic if you can keep it."
Yeah.
Because, if we're not getting free and fair elections, that democratic process of us being able to pick our leaders is null and void. And so the whole point of a representative government is supposed to be for the people to be able to choose who, guides them, who leads them, who handles the big stuff while we handle the local stuff. And if we're not able to do that, we've lost what makes us fundamentally America completely.
Yeah. I had this thought about, because I totally agree with you. And I think that that's the sentiment that is like, we want to see more. Like, we voted for more. Like, we voted, and people think that, Trump's doing too much with ICE. It's like, we voted for him to do more. Like, you guys think that he's, a lot of my work is tracking, God help me, Heather Cox Richardson, who's the Democrat Party media favorite historian. But they just spend every single day talking about how terrible Trump is. He's destroying this country. He's making us weaker, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, you think he's doing all this shit. We want him to do 10 times as much. Like, that's what we want him to do. Right. So like you said, we wanted Bondi out of the gate, and we wanted things. And then the Democrats did the whole thing with the release to Epstein. And that was all seemed to be just sort of that's their whole stupid thing. But now the Democrats are demanding the release of the Epstein list. And it's like, right. What do you so we want all these things to be happening, and we want to see these results. And we could make a whole list of all the things that we have seen, with Maha and the pharmaceuticals and Kennedy, and even like Trump, some of the stuff with him doing about the BlackRock, buying. I mean, there are these things that he's doing that we could make a list and focus on the things that he's doing, but we still feel like he's not doing enough. And I almost wonder, there's really only so much we can do on the federal level. I mean, we can do public pressure, and it's all sort of related a little bit. So the things that you do on a local level, on a state level, it has federal, repercussions, just like we're seeing with, the Somalian thing. It has a ripple effect on other states, other governors that are trying to run. It doesn't look good for them when these reports are being uncovered and people are doing their own digging and their own
Shapiro.
Yeah, exactly. It's so fascinating. I'm so fascinated by the whole thing. So I wonder, though, I'm thinking so I know I still feel like they're being strategic on a federal level. Like, we want to see more, but I also still feel like they're doing a long game, and they want JD Vance to be in there in 2028. So they have to be strategic on timing, right? Everything's timing. It's like, why is the Somalian stuff coming out now when it's been sort of well established that stuff happens? Like, why is it coming out now? Why does anything come up when it does? Why isn't the Epstein thing come out yet? Why did they just capture Maduro? Like, all these things, right? All the things, right? All these things being deployed by all of these different people. So I wonder if the election stuff is being sort of strategically, controlled in a way to be, when the best time to really unleash that would be, and not wanting to do it too early, because then that will change the trajectory of 2028. Like, I think that they're being super strategic to make sure that they're able to contain the messaging and the events in a way so that they have a really good chance of shoring up 2028, because then that sets us on the next 8 years. And I think what Vance and Trump do really well is, which is the opposite of authoritarianism and fascism, is they make fun of themselves. And so I think that's a really, I'm optimistic about it, because I think that they do that really well. And it's like, I just think of the JD Vance meme and with the face and the hair and stuff. And I think that they're doing a good job. And you kind of are like, well, they're only preserving themselves, but it's like, I wouldn't want their job. I wouldn't want to be like Usha's expecting. Kath, what's her face is Sweet Caroline is expecting, like,
Carolyn Levitt. I know.
So much, she's getting like, all that. I think some sort of medical provider was like wishing harm on her. Like,
a nurse.
Why would you want
to kill her?
Like, you're in the crux of your mothering life and your family, and you're in the public eye. You're doing this really big job. Like, who would want that?
Yeah.
But I mean, and I'm not saying like, oh, there's something wrong with them because they want that. I don't think they want it. I think that they feel a duty, just like we have a duty, and they feel a calling, and they know the moment that we're in. And so they are willing to put everything on the line, knowing that something's better on the other side. And so I do think that we may be like, or other people may be like wanting this or that, but they're not going to fuck this up. This is all coming to me now. I just don't think that they're going to fuck this up. I think that they're going to be strategic about it, and they have this all game planned out to where they have the contingency plans already figured out in a way. Like, this is all really high level stuff, just like the movie, just like the show, just like the show you were telling us,
crazy.
No, but I mean, I think that's, it is a show, but it's also real.
Right.
I mean, I think it's both. Just like we're the main characters of our own lives. We're real, but we're performers as well, right? We're parents, so we're acting all the time anyway as parents. We have to say things we don't necessarily maybe even agree with necessarily. Like, you have to say things to your kids because that's the right thing to say. But like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of something, I don't know, as a parent that you would, not that you don't agree with, but I'm saying like your kid, I don't know, like your kid has to do their homework but you're also sort of like, well, this looks kind of stupid. Like, I don't know why, that sort of a thing. Like, right. Like you're like, that they have to do the thing. You want to be supportive, and you don't want to throw the whole thing under the bus, but that sort of a thing. So I think sometimes we put a show on and stuff like that. And so I don't think you can extract the showmanship from this experience, because I think politics is a show. I mean, politicians are putting themselves out in the public. I mean, that's you're performing. They all do it. All the leaders of all the countries are performers. They all are. So to act like it shouldn't be a show is not true. So anyway, I think what my point was that, timing is everything, and we want to see, results. And so, I don't know where you want to go with that. If you want to go to like the election stuff, like what you're seeing, what you'd like to be seeing.
There's just so much to unpack, right? Because it's not just election stuff that we're seeing. I mean, look at today, Trump got us out of the World Economic Forum, which a lot of people are not happy about, but the one thing I feel like that makes America so great, and being the superpower it is not having to rely on anybody else. And unfortunately, I think there has been a little bit of a time over the last couple of decades where the superpower, that America was seen at was not. And I feel like, look at how everybody at Davos was with Trump, where you can tell some of them were really trying. Like it's almost like a celebrity, right? It's like, how people are trying to crane to get to see him, or, I need to make an impact on him, right? And for how many years has the United States bailed out so many countries, right? I mean, you think about even even NATO, how many times have we heard how many people talk about why is the United States the main contributor to NATO? Why isn't everybody doing their, you want to talk about everybody doing their share, right?
Right. Right.
Doing their share. And so I think that I agree. There definitely is some strategy going on with what we're seeing. I think the hard part is with the last administration, because everything went south so quickly. I think people are just so disenchanted with the entire establishment that is our government. And all this stuff that's being unpacked. You're seeing, if anybody's heard of Peter Berniger, he has uncovered a lot of stuff with the smurfings on both sides of the aisle.
What's the smurfings? What's smurfing?
The smurfing is where they are using, WinRed and Act Blue to kind of funnel money into their campaign through small donations of people who technically aren't donating, but their names are being used to donate. And some of these politicians, upwards $3 million that they're basically money laundering them back into their campaigns. And so when you see some of these people who are running for governor and have $30 million in their coffers, or people who are running for Congress and federal Senate seats that have hundreds of thousands of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars, I mean, it's insane. Why are you putting millions of dollars into a campaign that you're only getting paid like $150,000 a year to do as a federal senator or congressman?
Right.
Like, something just doesn't jive there. Or, for instance, Shapiro's campaign, they said he had over $30 million already in his coffer, and he just announced his reelection campaign. As the governor, now, mind you, he is the highest paid governor now in the country.
I know, that's crazy. I feel like that's bad. That's such bad optics, though.
It's insane. But he's not making millions of dollars technically, right? As the salary as a governor. So you're spending 30, 40, 50 million dollars on a campaign to make, 160, 200, I don't know how much he makes. But still, like, the numbers don't add up, is my point, right?
Right.
And so I think that we're starting to see some of this stuff come out in the open, and people's eyes being open, and people realizing that this has been going on for decades. Because you and I both know, for election stuff, and I go back to that because that's kind of my specialty, right? That's where my heart lies. But even in Pennsylvania in the 90s, there was a state senator, Bruce Marks, in Philadelphia, that ran for a seat, and he was able to prove, as the Republican candidate, he was able to prove to a federal judge that there was so much in the election that the Democrat who supposedly won didn't really win. So the federal judge actually removed the Democrat candidate who had been sworn in and replaced him with Bruce Marks because he had actually won. Now, that was in 93 or 94. You can look that up. Bruce Marks, Philadelphia. So if the election stealing and the election crime has been since the 90s that we know of, who knows how far back it actually goes? I mean, look at way back when you had Democrat, we'll call them operatives, right, that were standing at the polls with shotguns telling people don't come in and vote Republican. Like, this has been going on for a very long time.
Yeah.
And I think, unfortunately, we're just started seeing this. And I think the reason people are paying attention is because of how bad that things had to be manipulated in 2020, that it was so obvious that people started paying attention.
Yeah.
If it hadn't been, the turnout for Trump, in my opinion, hadn't been as big as it was in 2020, and they didn't have to stop the count, manipulate the numbers and all that, I think it still would be going on and people would be none the wiser. But, you know, like it or not, because everything kind of unraveled, because there was so much just questionability, right? Things that just didn't add up. People started paying attention. And now people are realizing, well, if our elections have been manipulated and stolen for so long, what else in our government? And so, unfortunately, that's why you're seeing the stuff that James O'Keefe is uncovering and the things that, you know, Nick Shirley is uncovering, and you know, people who really feel called to actually, you know, investigate this stuff. And so you're starting to see, I think, things that I'm sure people had some, you know, in the back of their mind, because I used to say, I don't want to know what the government's doing. I'm sure they're doing some crazy stuff and I don't want to. Now I'm like, it's, you know, as a tax-paying citizen that has a family and children that I have to raise, I should know every dime of where my tax money is going. Like, you want to talk about, and look, I understand national security, things like that, right? That's fine. But I should know where my tax money is going. And so the fact that we don't, and we're finding out that a lot of it's going to these illegal, you know, whatever, I think is why people are getting mad, because things are more expensive now, right? I know so many people that are making the most money, including me and my husband, that are making the most money they've ever made, and are still, like, are probably struggling more than they ever have. Because not only are things more expensive because of what they've been driven up, and I know everybody says the tariffs and blah, blah, blah. But I think it's just the day and age that we're in, right? Things are more expensive. Look at the housing market, which is crazy. Thank goodness Trump's trying to do something about that, because, you know, you get young 20-year-olds, how the heck are they affording a house? I mean, my husband and I have been looking for a house for almost 2.5 years now. And not only are picking slim because of the stuff, you know, Trump uncovered, where you've got these corporations that are coming in, and any house that's at a decent price that's available, they're buying them up in hordes, right? But also that the interest rates were so freaking high. You know, when we bought our house in 2016, I think our interest rate is like a 3.15 or something. You never find that now. And so I think that it's a culmination of everything, and people are just fed up. They're tired. They're seeing what's going on. And I think the problem, and Nikki, you and I talked about this a little earlier today, is that we're still, as American citizens, right, as a whole, doesn't matter what party, we're still playing on the defensive and trying to, you know, defend after we're seeing all this stuff, instead of taking the power that we have as American citizens and run on the offensive, right? You talked about federal, right? Trump and his administration, which, mind you, I just found out today, there's still like 60 people that Trump had nominated that have yet to be appointed. And we're over a year into his administration. Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Gosh.
But he can only do so much. He is not a dictator. He is not an authoritarian. He is the executive branch. So he only has so much power. You know, we talked about this in Patriot Academy when we did our Constitution classes. The most important branch of government is our legislative branch, because it is the closest to the people. It represents the people, right? So I think people need to realize you have to take it into your own hands. And I understand, trust me of all people, I understand running for office. Nobody wants to run for office. I get it. It's dirty. But the only way that people are going to feel comfortable in their own neighborhoods and actually be a part of the action, so to speak, right? Knowing what's going on, being aware of what's going on in your own neighborhood and your school district, is by running for those local offices, the city council, the school boards, right? Your state committee, regardless of what party you are, right? Your mayors, your election boards for those states that have election boards, your ombudsmans, your local sheriff, things like that. The local offices that seem kind of mundane and things that you don't want to do. But guess what? Those are the people that are affecting what you do every day. Trump doesn't have that authority to affect what you do every single day, other than, the federal stuff. But most of the stuff is statewide. And I think that's why these primaries are so important. The midterms coming up are really important, both locally and federally. Right here in Pennsylvania, we have governor, lieutenant governor, state committee, local committee, some of the row offices. I think there's a couple of either House or Senate special elections. But, there's other states that have treasurers and auditors, things like that. Those are just as important, if not more, than the president, because those are the ones that, affect your taxes and affect your school boards, what your kids are learning in school. And we've gone over this before, but I feel like it needs to be, reiterated, because there's so many people that want to stand out on, that they want to stay home. Oh, it's not a presidential election. It doesn't really affect me. I don't have to go. When in fact, in some ways, it should be the opposite. You need to be getting your rear ends out there. And I, for one, there's not many excuses, in my opinion, that you can give for missing things like that. But
yeah, I agree.
I'm going to get off my soapbox and let you go.
Yeah, I agree. We talk about this all the time, and how that our local civic duty is so important. And sometimes we see that people really only respond when they feel as though it's a crisis for them. It's their backyard. I do think it makes a difference, the public dissemination of information. Like, I do think that the Great Awakening includes people being aware of the corruption, the disclosures, the whistleblowers, even that everybody, even though it is a public shit show, just if people are paying attention, you could say, oh, it's a distraction, and sure, okay. But there's also something to be said, I think, for people paying attention, because the more that people just pay attention in general, then they'll become more familiar with the content and the situation. And then maybe it'll trigger a thought in them to change the course of what they're doing. Most people are somewhat satisfied. I'd be interested in actually what the statistics show, but what percentage of people are, somewhat satisfied with their lives, moderately satisfied, really, really satisfied. So I think just shaking people up with these different types of things, and them learning information, whether they hear something on Rogan or Theo Vaughn, or, Candace Owens even is mainstream enough where people are talking about her, I think it's a longer process, but I think getting people activated from tickling people's funny bone, getting them activated from an entertainment perspective, just engaging them in the political process, even if to start, it's because they heard something on Rogan, or they heard something Trump said, or whatever. It just gets them starting, or even we have to lure them in with the drama of Shapiro and the Ellen Greenberg, which is real. That's all real stuff.
Right.
That's the crazy thing about this, is that these are real things. It's a show, it's ridiculous, and it's also real. So it's wow, this is real life. It's reality TV does have a component of reality to it. Yes, there's a production and all that stuff. So I think getting people activated and somewhat aware of the process, even if they're not doing it yet, at least it's in their consciousness that it's happening. These are the different factors of it. And then I don't know, man. I don't know what the next phase is for everybody, because I do think people are paying attention and they've decided to check out in a certain way. And yeah, people are disillusioned by like what these local offices that we're talking about, because I don't know, Karen, people are a little strange. You know what I mean? People are a little strange. People that are drawn to these sort of things are, a little funny. So that's why it's not for everybody, but it should be for everybody. Right. So how have we gotten to this point where, I think we've seen the managerial class transition. I'd like to see different characters take the reins, and I think that's why Trump was so shocking, is because he was a character, but he's also real in a way that we never saw before, and it's just very uncommon. We hadn't seen it before. So what I would love to see is, I would love to see more people. I'd love to see more real people get engaged with the process. And I guess I'd have to really think about it and sort of play around with it in my mind of like, what would that take, or what would activate that? And I think we did see that. I don't know, but maybe we'll see it again. We'll see another sort of, and it'll be good. Not as traumatizing. Can it just be like a good and not as traumatizing? And can it be sort of like like not all the stuff, but when you awaken, you can't go back to sleep, right? So evolution, so the awakening only goes one direction. So we're being primed for sort of just, I don't mean this sort of, again, some conspiratorial conspiracy like next phase. I mean just as we have seasons in our own lives, we get to contribute to what that next phase looks like. And what I'm saying is, I would love to see more real people get involved, and maybe we'll see that with the economy, heading in a better direction, ideally. People maybe just how academia is changing. Higher education is not, that was a whole thing. I mean, they fucked that up. And, people aren't doing, they're closing colleges. The college that I went to condensed with another. I mean, we're seeing majors being slashed. Higher education is just, they blew it up so bad that everybody had to go to college, that it so now we're seeing a lot more with trade. So I think over the next number of years or whatever, we may see some of this stuff regulate. And you know what? Maybe people in tech will be motivated, or people, that want to give back. And that's what I love about the Trump administration, is that I feel like because he's a real person and he had all these different spheres of influence that was not political, or related to politics specifically, or in that space, he really got people on board. Like, he got people invested in the project of Make America Great Again. Like, he got people invested that wouldn't normally have been invested. And so you just need more of that. You need that energy. And we see people like David Sachs who left, they don't need to be in government, but that's what we need. We need people that aren't really interested in being in government to be in government. So how do you get people? You need to incentivize them. It's just like we talked about with the Democrat Party that funds, grassroots people knocking on doors and stuff. People get paid to do that. How do you, intrinsic motivation, perhaps we're talking about, but how do you activate and motivate people to do something for the common good, or, as a duty? How do you get people to do that? And hopefully Trump inspires people to do that. So I don't know. I think that enough things are put into motion, though, that we will inevitably see things moving in a different direction. And maybe people will have more free time to be able to, ideally, that's how life should be. Like, we shouldn't have to work. People shouldn't have to work so run themselves ragged.
Right.
They should have, that's what we're trying to do. And I don't know about technology, and I don't know about labor saving technology in the sense of like, what are we going to see in the next, 5 years? And how much is technology is it going to be like just nothing again? And it was all a ruse? Is it some of a ruse? Is it a little bit we're going to see? Is there some truth to the fact that like technology is going to actually better our lives so that we actually are able to contribute to our communities more, that we are able to have more free time, which should be the point of technology. It should be to help us. It shouldn't be to control us.
Right.
So all of these things, I'm excited about, I'm optimistic about. I would like to see, again, people engage more in the process, but I'm not really sure how to do that in the short term, I guess. Yeah.
That's hard. You're seeing all these data centers pop up left and right. And, I think that, I'll bring it up, the Charlie Kirk situation. I think that in some ways, excited some younger people, and it made them, kind of want to follow in his footsteps. I think it also scared a lot of people. Yeah. It made a lot of people go into hiding. People who wanted to get involved decided not to get involved because they didn't want, the same fate. And I think we saw that prior to that here in, our area. I'm not going to name any names, but, when you start seeing people who kind of step out as leaders, people who kind of defy the norm, right? Yeah. People who aren't afraid to ask the hard questions. And when, unfortunately we had Nikki and I had somebody in our local area that both of us were very close with and very fond of, that unfortunately also was killed at his own establishment. And he was the type of man very similar to Charlie, right? He opened the dialogue. He asked the hard questions, and he didn't really he had both sides at his establishment and had no problem with that. But he also asked the hard questions of, what are your intentions? How are you planning on doing this? What do you think about this? And really just kind of brought it to light on some of the stuff that was going on, and didn't have a problem voicing his opinion when he thought you were full of crap. And so I think that that should be the norm, where right now it still is, almost taboo, right? Like you don't ask those questions. You don't talk about that. And I think we're starting to see a little bit more of it, right? We're starting to see more of these citizen journalists. We're starting to see more people question the everyday norm that we've seen for the last how many years. But, like you said, that everybody and anybody, if you want to run for office, should have that ability to. It shouldn't be, well, you can't raise enough money or you don't have enough money to be able to run for office. If you feel that you have a duty or you have something that you can contribute to your area, you should be able to run. And unfortunately, I think we're seeing a lot of the good old boys clubs still to this day that are, kind of in the same realm that seem to get in office. Or, we had a local Republican committee here in Pennsylvania that actually shared a vote of no confidence on their senator. And there's been, a little bit of a debacle going on there because the state Republican Party is fighting back against that. And then they're, kind of clapping back, hey, like, we've looked at the bylaws, we've done this. And even though I know a lot of people are like, oh, that's fracturing the Republican Party, don't do that. In my opinion, I think it's good because it's challenging the norm. It's challenging the narrative that, oh, well, you have to be, above party above all else. And I will say, speaking of that, the one person that has kind of shocked me has been Fetterman. Him being very open, right? Yeah. Who would have thought that Fetterman would be in some ways the voice of common sense? Like, again, Twilight Zone,
Right.
completely. But, you know, he's been very open about, I have no allegiance to just the party.
Yeah.
I represent all of my constituents, and, you know, taking care of our country should be first and foremost. Like, the fact that that's taboo blows my, like, that's just straight common sense. Like, that's the whole point of America First and making America great again, where a lot of people say, oh, it's about Trump. But in reality, it's not. It's about putting us first. You know, when you're on, this is my big analogy. I've probably used it on here before, but when you're on an airplane, you have to put your mask on before you can help anybody else. Because guess what? If you have kids, spouse, parents, blah, blah, blah on the plane with you, and you're passed the heck out, you ain't helping nobody. So you got to help yourself before you can help anybody else. And I think that's kind of the whole premise of what America First is let's fix our own crap before we try and butt our nose into anybody else's crap, regardless of what country it is. Like, I don't care. Why are we giving money to any other country when our country is in shambles?
Yeah.
We have veterans that are, you know, living in a tent under bridges. These are men and women who fought for our country. But I guess in some ways, if you think about it, it's a strategic move by the oligarchs and the power that be, because if you can keep those people mentally ill and you can keep those people restrained, then they can't ever clap back against the government, right? They can't ever stand up and resist. And so, unfortunately, I think we're seeing a lot of the stuff that has happened, and people are connecting the dots of why things have happened for so long and how our country has gone so far off track from what them right there, the founding fathers, intended for this country to be. And so I still feel that we have a chance to be able to revive that before, you know, it gets to the point of burning it down. I pray every day
I agree
that we can figure out some sort of solution before, you know, we get to that point, because that's a whole nother can of worms that we could open. But that in my opinion is a lot scarier than what people think.
I just had a good analogy. So like when you're fixing up your house, okay, so there's things that you have to do every day, like you shower, or not every day, but like regularly, or like you do your dishes every day. Like there's things that you have to like do every day to maintain, to keep up. But when you're doing like a project or a construction project, or you're fixing something up in your house, there's things that you only have to do one time. And once it's done, it's done. But it's like you feel overwhelmed because you're like, I have all these things that need done, but it's sort of a reassuring of like, yes, that's a huge list of, you have to do the paneling, and you have to do the painting, and you have to do the border, whatever. But once that's done, it's done. It's not like clutter on your counter. It's like, you know, it's done. It's not like you have to go grocery shop. You know, grocery shopping is all the time. But so I don't know. So like maybe we could look at it like some of the things that are happening, like, you know, it's already done. We're not going to have to do it again. And maybe, you know, and people are so critical of like what Trump's doing with Greenland and with, you know, Canada and all this stuff. And it's like, listen, maybe this is, you know, he's the builder, dude. So like we all the things that we want, because that's what everybody says. That's what Marjorie Taylor Greene has come out and has been the voice for. That's what we all have been saying as Americans, is like, we can't be sending money overseas. We can't be using all of our taxpayer funds to like fund these programs in different countries. Like we have to take care of our own country and our own citizens. And like, they all know that. And so I think it was a mixture of like marketing and messaging to like make everybody aware of like, these are the things that like we need. And then we all got on board because we're like, yeah, you're right. Like, you know what? Like, we do need to fix our infrastructure. Like, we do need to fix our healthcare system. Like, we do need to fix the services that feed our communities and keep our country going and making it better and making society better and not worse. So I don't know. So maybe some of the things that we're seeing are like, one-time things. And like,
Right.
we're just
Right.
renovating the house and, you know,
I know
like,
all about that.
it's not the, yeah, exactly. It's not the dishes. You know, some of it's the dishes where we have to do it every single day.
Right.
But some of this stuff is like, we're doing it. We're done.
One-time thing.
Yeah. Once it's done, it's done. And then it's set the precedence for the next thing. And, we can't jump here until we do this. So this stuff needs to be done first. And we are here like, why though? Why is this happening? And why is this happening? And I just think that we aren't going to have overt answers. We can speculate. We can listen to stuff that makes sense of how all this stuff makes sense. But I think that there is absolutely no denying the fact that we want to see lower grocery prices. We need to see but we want to see these things, but we actually need to see these things because we need people to feel as though their vote does matter and that Trump is doing what he said he was going to do. So I think gas prices have come down. I think Pennsylvania, unfortunately, is one of the states where there's still
with our 70-cent gas tax or whatever it is.
Yeah, they're still holding out in Pennsylvania.
Still over $3, but that's okay.
I think it like the Giant Eagle or whatever, like the member card, if you had, it's like under $3. I mean, I've seen it.
Okay.
Yeah, but I haven't pumped gas under $3. I feel like I've seen it. No, I haven't. But
I think the other day it was like $3.16.
Yeah,
that's like the cheapest it's been in a long time.
And I mean, wasn't it like $1.80 when Trump was in office the first time? Wasn't it under $2 the first?
I feel like that was so long ago.
It's so long ago.
I don't remember what I ate for dinner yesterday. I don't know.
I know, me too. And I just feel like when Biden took office, though, like it doubled. It doubled like significantly. And remember, it was like, well, because that was in 2021, and then I think it even got higher whenever Russia went to war with Ukraine, because then it was like, well, we have higher gas prices because we're doing it for Ukraine. I don't even remember how that connected. Maybe it was because it was related to the sanctions on Russia or something. I don't even know. I don't know. I'm not a gasologist. I don't know how. I don't know how the gas industry, I'm sorry, the oil industry, an oilologist. I don't know how the oil industry works. Like, don't ask me about Venezuelan oil. I know that there's a lot of components about it, and, you know, Chevron and Exxon and all that stuff. And we have our own oil, but so anyway, I posted that picture of like politics related to geopolitics, because I just think too, if like people, not everybody follows all the different things. And we are sort of self-absorbed as Americans in the sense of like, we're just really focused on our own things and our own dealings and our own business. And, you know, that's the beauty of capitalism in the sense of like entrepreneurship. And we're, you know, just in our own worlds. And we don't know how the US is related to other countries.
Right.
In all the different areas. And so that's exciting to think, but it's also an opportunity to like learn and, I don't know, not take everything so seriously and not be worried. I see people pearl clutching on Facebook and just freaking out about Trump and, you know, fascism and all this stuff. And I'm like, it's okay. It's going to be okay. Like, just expand your thinking.
I think it's the change too. Like, just in general, change is scary, right? Because it's the unknown, right? And I think that it's just human nature to be afraid of the unknown. So when things change, even if inevitably it is for the better, I do think that a lot of people automatically go negative because it is a scary thing, right? And so you know, we did see a lot of people that have kind of flip-flopped that, oh, well, Trump shouldn't have done this. Oh, well, you know, he was right about this. And I think that just as human nature, anything that's new, that's different, that's a big different, right? He's going to get backlash from pulling us out of the WEF. because
it's the World Health Organization.
Right. I think that that is going to be a big thing because it's scary, right?
Yeah.
But I think, like for insurance, let's take insurance for a minute. And I know we're a little over an hour, so I'm going to try and make it short. But for instance, I was talking with one of my doctors. We're trying to get me approved for a specific medication to deal with one of the things I've been dealing with. And you and I both know the fact that it's FDA approved, whatever. But it is FDA approved for that. Well, my insurance company denied it, and they want me to try another medication that is not FDA approved. That's not even for the diagnosis that my doctor gave them. But they won't approve the medicine that's actually FDA approved and specifically for that diagnosis. And so we had to appeal. And only after they sent all my medical records and all this stuff did my insurance company finally say, oh, okay, we'll approve it. Now, there are probably a lot of people out there that would have happened to, that they would have just accepted it and say, okay, I'm not going to get my medication, or I'm going to try this other medication that's not even for the thing I was diagnosed, because that's all my insurance will cover. Or they just don't take anything. And, I'm not saying that medicine is the answer, because I've seen a lot of, especially lately, a lot of things contrary to that a lot of medication is actually meant to keep you sick. But that's a whole nother can of worms we can open up another time. But my whole point is that I think a lot of people are starting to see some of the things that people have been talking about, that, hey, something's not right, for a long time. We saw a lot of stuff during COVID. Like, look at all the stuff that came out, and that's now coming out about the COVID vaccines. And I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about that on YouTube. So if that gets us,
I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I think so. I think so.
But I'm just saying, in general, like there's a lot of stuff coming out about things that now we're seeing that, hey, maybe we should have not fast tracked that, or maybe we should have done this, right? And I think that happens a lot in medicine, right? That's why it's called a practice, because they're still learning. Doctors don't know everything, as much as people say follow the science. But I think that's just in general, right? It's something new. It's something exciting, but it's scary too. And so I think that's with everything going on right now, the whole political realm, the whole geopolitical spectrum is changing. And I think that does frighten a lot of people. Those that are already in power because they're afraid they're going to lose it. And those that, have kind of been at the mercy of those in power, we're seeing as well. And so it's been so dirty for so long that it was never about the candidate. At least, as far as I can remember, there was always those attack ads, right? It was never about what you as a candidate can do for your constituents. It was always about what the person running against you did or did not do prior to even running for office. And so I think we're seeing a switch a little bit of that, where candidates now more are talking about what they want to do. And then, we're seeing a lot of the far left that are getting in office. I mean, look at what just happened in Virginia. Everything that Youngkin did just got stripped away immediately. Look at what's going on in New York City. I mean, that's terrifying in of itself. But I also think that this is one of those situations, as much as I despise this saying, you make your bed, now you lie in it. And I think it's one of those situations. Now, do I think our fraudulent elections have a lot to do with this stuff? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I also think that those that, were, let's do Sharia law, and we're so excited about this and everything. And now they're kind of backtracking, like, maybe that wasn't the best idea. Okay, well, you live and you learn, right? And so I do think that we're seeing a little bit of that switch, right? A little bit of that mentality change. But none of this happened overnight. And I think for me, that is the hardest part of all of this is, I'll be honest, I want a quick fix. I want it done. I want it fixed. I want to see
move
our
on.
country has so much potential. I want to see it shine, but it didn't get this way overnight. It's not going to get fixed. It's like, I'm on a health journey, right? Now, granted, I've had some medical stuff in the past, and I had a almost fatal car accident, gained 126 pounds after spending 18 months to learn how to walk again. But again, I didn't gain all that weight overnight. I'm not going to lose it all overnight either. And I think that's the hard part about anything that takes work, takes risk, is that a lot of people fail at that because people give up. People don't see an immediate fix. And so they get discouraged, they get frustrated, right? And that's with anything. And so I think our country's kind of in that same situation, right? Like, we have to see it through. And it's hard because you kind of feel like, oh, we're taking one step forward and 2 steps back, and 2 steps forward and 5 steps back. And we're going to see that. But I think if us as just a country, as citizens, can kind of band together and continue on that path, we will see the fix as long as we stick with it. The only way
you're right,
we don't see it is if we cut. If we just say, I'm done. Like, it's too hard.
Yeah, you only lose if you quit, right?
And it's going to be hard. It sucks. But my husband said this to me, and I'm going to say it to anybody that's watching: pick your hard. Because he did. Being, and I'm speaking to myself as well as anybody else in my current situation. Being overweight is hard. There are a lot of things you can't do. It sucks. Working out, going through a health journey, going through a ton of crap, it's hard. You're going to go through a lot of crap. Either way, it's hard. Pick your hard. What do you want the end outcome to be? Right? Pick your hard. And so I think that's as a country where we're at too. Pick your hard. What do you want to deal with? Do you want the short term of having to deal with, a lot of crap and yes, we're seeing an overabundance right now of ICE raids and and all this stuff that everybody's freaking out about.
Right.
Do you want to see that and see our country fixed? Or do you want to see the hard of continuing to deteriorate and ending up as a third world country because people didn't stand up?
Right.
We pick our hard. That's going to be my theme for 2026. I figured it out.
I love it.
I love it.
I'm here for it. I love it. It's such great advice. It makes so much sense. It's exactly right. Pick your hard. I feel that way about life. I tell my kids that too. When they face challenges or whatever, I say, you know what? Everybody has challenges. If it's not this, it's going to be something else. And so again, life is hard and situations are difficult, but you're going to, if you go this route, you're going to face challenges. There's always trade-offs,
Right.
And so pick your hard. We want like that quick fix, or we want to think that we give a little and we get a lot or something. And that's just not how life is. Life is the long game. It's the long haul, I hope I live for a long time. I hope I'm here for 100 years.
120, baby.
Yeah, really, like, why not? Why not? I got a bunch of stuff to do.
Right.
So yeah, I'm with you. I love that. Yeah. On that note, pick your hard.
Pick your hard.
Well, I'm so glad you're here tonight, Karen. I'm so glad we got together. Let's make sure that we do it again.
Yes.
And again and again. And thank you, everybody, so much for joining us tonight. And if you're catching this on the replay, thank you so much. This was so wonderful. I love it. Did you have any final words, or just pick your hard?
That's it. Pick your hard, baby.
All right, let's do it. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight, and we'll catch you next time.
Bye, guys.